they went from making about $300,000 to $500,000 per month. So that puts them at a $6 million company. After we finished all of our stuff and we like flipped the switch and made it live, they had their first $1 million month.
Wow.
And then they have been making since then between $900,000 to $1.2 million every single month. So they went from being a $6 million to a $12 million company in just 3 months. So how exactly did that happen?
So, Jamie, share with us a little bit. You know, obviously said since 2018, you've been able to help companies to generate over $10 million in revenue, right? What did you do for those companies? Now, obviously, you know, it's probably copywriting, right? That you've been mainly doing for them. And share with us a little bit about how that makes you feel obviously it's a huge accomplishment, you know, with 24 being able to generate directly, basically impact the company in such a way that they're making such a big amount of revenue.
Yeah. And I mean, this is my number one reason why I love my area of marketing and my specialty. So I do a lot of my projects basically wind up being conversion rate optimization. So I look at the whole sales process that one might have to go through to make a purchase from a company. And then I'm looking to make layout changes to the design and messaging changes, which is where the copywriting comes in. And it's a little bit abstract, but maybe the best way to clarify it would be to focus on one specific project that I did where like this project, and you know, I say $10 million in revenue, it's actually a lot more, but the 10 million is like what I can directly quantify. This project was for a e-commerce company. They sell, their major thing is a straightening brush. So it's like a paddle looking brush. And it's just instead of a hair straightener, it's like the bristles are kind of thick. And so the heating element is like inside of each little bristle thingy. So that was their main, you know, unique identifying thing. And then they just had other hair products as well. Like they had a blow dryer, and then they had like a set of wet products like shampoos, styling products, stuff like that. So through our project together, let's just call it a conversion rate optimization project, because there was a lot of different pieces involved with it. This one, they went from making about $300,000 to $500,000 per month. So that puts them at a $6 million company. After we finished all of our stuff and we like flipped the switch and made it live, they had their first $1 million month. And then they have been making since then between $900,000 to $1.2 million every single month. So they went from being a $6 million to a $12 million company in just 3 months. So how exactly did that happen? Long story short, I focused on 2 aspects of this company. So like many e-commerce companies, they do a shit ton of Facebook advertising, drive people to their website. And in this case, the client was just putting people only to the homepage, which is usually the worst thing that you can do. Unless you designed your homepage for that purpose, which they did not. And then that was it. They had nothing else going on as far as the back end automation stuff. There were no email automations, like one abandoned cart email, but otherwise nothing going on. And they had a list of like 180,000 people, like email subscribers. That
literally money sitting there.
That they don't email at all. Like I had the access to their account and they had sent them, the company had been in business for 6 years total. And they were just completely flatlining in growth. Like for the last 4 years, they were at $6 million. So like they really needed some help. And also it goes to show that our work together is really what moved that needle. So the first thing that I did was they didn't even have an email pop-up, bro. Like this is how bad it was. So I'm like, okay, website, this is a hot mess. And just before we dive into what I did, if we're just going to talk about top, middle, and bottom of sales funnel, the top would be this paid advertising that they're doing The middle, I would consider their website in this case. And then the bottom, I would say the back end stuff of the process. So I only focused on the middle and the bottom. I was like, the biggest opportunity here, obviously, is your back end stuff, because there's nothing going on and you're sitting on a lot of money. So let's like fix that. So I have a package of e-commerce email automation sequences that I've developed just like over my years of doing work. So we implemented like 6 or 7 key automation sequences that they didn't have, which, for example, would be, some of the major ones are a welcome sequence, but I do the welcome sequence where it's focused on sales. And so, for example, the first month that we put this welcome sequence into effect, and this wasn't with the list that was existing, this was with, they get like, I think at least 1 million impressions or something a month. So they have like a lot of traffic, and just any amount, like literally some percent bigger than 0 would be a pretty good growth for your email list.
Sure.
So I set up the welcome automation sequence, and it generated in the first month $145,000 in sales. And so that's only new people coming in that had nothing to do with the other like 180,000 people that are sitting there. And so that was obviously a big boost to their revenue just from that. And then I focused on creating my other email automation sequences that come in this package, focus on remonetizing first purchases. So we put together like a VIP sequence. Oh, of course, the first thing I did was like a abandoned cart sequence that was like multiple emails instead of just one and I really focused on educational marketing. So for all of this stuff, what I would basically do is, like, she had a lot of video content on her Facebook page. She was big into doing product demonstrations, and then also like working with influencers to do product demonstrations. So she had a lot, like basically every product that she sells has some type of video tutorial. And then because of just the amount of people, both herself and influencers, there was a lot of different hair types. So what I focused on for educational marketing was like stuff like how to style your pixie cut with a curler. And then I would like brief 1 or 2 sentences about what you're going to learn. The image that I would take from Facebook, like I would take a screenshot and then superimpose, like in Canva, put a little play button on it and then link that out. And then underneath of it, it would be like a little more info about what the product was that was in the video itself. And so the one big change that I made was that, like I said in the beginning, they were mostly just sending people only to their homepage. So I changed our strategy from doing that to sending people directly to the products that we're actually fucking talking about, because believe it or not, like my philosophy is really simple. I just like to make buying things as easy as possible. So I'm not going to have someone go to the homepage and search for this stuff and look at things and have to figure out, oh, is this the thing that I was looking at? Like, no, I will just link you directly to the product that you want. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. The reason why is that business owners, whatever your skill is, that's your area of expertise. And like this lady, she was a professional hairdresser. So the reason why she has, people love her products. She basically built this company on no marketing know-how and only on the fact of like how awesome her products were and the fact that people liked her personally and that she did a lot of influencer marketing. But as far as like knowing how to build any common marketing systems in the middle or the bottom, like she didn't have any of that knowledge or any of that set up. So I know that the reason why people do this, like driving people right to your homepage, is because marketing is just a completely separate area
Yeah.
of expertise.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not a professional hairdresser,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't expect a professional hairdresser to be good at what I do either. So that's why. But I am honestly just like gobsmacked at how many people, like, this is not my first business that I've come across with hundreds of thousands of people on the email list with no automations going on. Like, I don't, I want to say I don't know how, but I do know how, and I do know why, because it's just not their area of expertise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because of that, I really I would recommend anybody who's like, oh, educational marketing, you want to learn more about that, Google a guy called David Ogilvy, Ogilvy. And I actually, like, funny that we're talking about this because I have his book. If I can just grab it, I have a stack of books next to me. I actually have his book right here. So this Ogilvy on advertising, for you guys looking at it on YouTube, you can see what it looks like. And for you guys who are listening, Robert, I'm sure we'll hook you up with like an Amazon link or something to this. But he has many books, and you can if you just Google him, you can find lots of like free stuff of him on YouTube talking. He's unfortunately passed away now, but you can find lots of lectures and stuff that he did. But Ogilvy on advertising, I would say, is a great book to start with. And his whole philosophy is like, don't treat customers, like, don't talk down to people. A lot of business owners, or honestly even marketers, and sorry guys, like male marketers really do this especially, talk down to people in the marketing. And he says, don't think about it like that. Instead, educate them. Imagine that you guys are sitting on the same side of the table, not the opposite sides of the table. You're not trying to convince them to do something that they don't want to do. You're both working together to help them get the result that they want. And then you can, like, you know, maybe I think that my example was selling basically hairbrushes and shampoo. Like, if I can educate people about that, you know, you can educate people about anything, but maybe you're like, still, you know, well, Jamie, Robert, like, I don't really know. I sell t-shirts. Like, how am I going to educate people about that? Or like, you know, I don't really know how I would be able to do that in my profession. He has educational stuff in here for beer, for Guinness beer. So if he can do educational marketing for beer, you could do educational marketing for t-shirts. I could do educational marketing for shampoo. So you can do educational marketing for whatever you're selling. But yeah, so that, like, across all of these systems, on the back end, that was my biggest focus, was taking this educational approach, trying to show people just like, you know, like, if you have curly hair, how can you straighten it? How do you style a pixie cut? Like, how do you style a medium bob, you know, with the curling iron, with the straightening brush, with a blow dryer, like, so all of that type of stuff. I just tried to match questions that people might have to the products that we sell. And then luckily she already had this big back, because the thing was that, like, so this strategy that she had obviously helped her to a certain extent, like $6 million in revenue, not very profitable, but $6 million in revenue is still a very impressive business. But she didn't, like, these things were not really being reused. So it was like they just kind of went once, and otherwise they're just sitting there. And on they were pretty much all on Facebook. And we didn't do anything with SEO for her stuff, but a way that it could maybe not be just living there with nothing happening would have been if she took them and, like, embedded them into blog posts and maybe wrote out some stuff. But since they were on Facebook, Facebook is not very search engine friendly. So they were effectively just, they happened once and then sitting there, like, chilling, doing nothing. But luckily she had this big backlog. So in my case, I was able to look at what the most popular, because, like, I was able to see, well, what are the most popular videos that she did and that her homies did. And then just like, okay, well, like this chick has a pixie cut and it's one of the top 5 videos. So I guess a lot of people want to know, how do you style a pixie cut? Like,
Yeah.
so that wound up working because I was working like with an established business. But if you're like just starting, then how you could use the strategy is that if you're selling products, like you can do like product demos of them. And then you can utilize the product demos that you made into building a back-end automation system where like you're answering people's most common questions with seeing how it works for them. And then in the case of apparel, because I know that a lot of people find that very challenging, I would look, there's like 2 ways that you could kind of go about it. And like, you know, is it harder to educate about a t-shirt? Yes, it is harder to educate about a t-shirt versus shampoo, because at least you can be like, here's how it works. And like, here's why other stuff sucks and this one doesn't. So yeah, obviously that's a little more tough with a t-shirt, but you can go 2 routes with it. The one route is storytelling. So building stories or just sharing with people why or how, like, how did this design come to be? How did you wind up starting your business? And in the welcome series that I did for this lady, for her shampoo and straightening brush thing, I did in the welcome series, the first one is just like, welcome to, like, she calls her audience Candy Girls. So it's like, you know, welcome Candy Girl, here's your discount. And then it was 3 best-selling products. Then after that, I did a 2-part story about how she started her business, where like the first one has a cliffhanger and then the second one markets products to them. And then I think the next 3 or 4 that I did were some of these like ones that we just talked about with like a product demo and stuff like that. So going back to apparel, like you can share stories around your designs and stories about why you started this business and stories about like if you're, you know, many different models of apparel, but like if you're the artist, like your approach to art, or if you're just a business person, like collaborating with artists, then, you know, why you picked to work with someone and how you first like saw their stuff. And you could even share, you know, their artistic perspective, like on their behalf, you know, even though you're maybe the business homie and you're not the artist, it doesn't mean that you can't find out about the artistic perspective from the person who you're commissioning their stuff and then share that. So it is possible. Obviously it's easier in some industries than other industries. But especially like if you're like a coach or a consultant like me or something like that, then it's really easy to have an educational approach. If you're someone like my client who's selling like shampoo and hair straighteners, maybe it seems a little more abstract. And then, you know, if you're selling t-shirts, like it can feel really, really hard. But the second way that you could go about it, you know, first way being share some stories. Second way that you could go about marketing apparel is just having fun lifestyle content. So like your content, look at Jake Paul, look at Logan Paul with his Maverick brand. That, you know, lots of adjectives I could use to describe Logan Paul. That guy sells like millions of dollars of t-shirts just making dumb videos of him being a jerk on YouTube. And if you wanted something that is, you know, maybe that's not your speed and you would like to maybe contribute something to the world rather than just reality show entertainment, another model would be to look at a YouTube channel called Yes Theory. They give inspirational content, but what they do is that while they're like their videos have nothing to do really with the shirts that they're selling. I mean, kind of, because the philosophy of the brand, like the designs are like integrated with the blah, blah, whatever. But, you know, they're not like, here's how you put on a t-shirt and it just so happens to be ours. No, I mean, it's like basically content that like product placement. And so their videos have basically nothing to do with the t-shirts, kind of nothing to do with the t-shirts that they're selling, but you're also still marketing, you know, the products that you're selling. Or just look at, you know, just like Google top YouTubers, find yourself a nice list of biggest people by subscribers. And a lot of them you'll find sell merch. And even though the videos that they're making are not directly related to selling their t-shirts, they're able to bridge the gap between this is the content that I'm making and this is the t-shirt that I want you to buy. So back to the project with the $6 million thing. What did we talk about? We talked about the welcome series. That's good. We put in a couple of other automation sequences that were, one that I really like to use is called the product education series. So in this case with this client, they were on Shopify. So we were using Klaviyo, but you can do this on pretty much any software. Like usually the people that I'm working with are like on ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft. Those are the main ones. And you can do it in MailChimp with tagging, but MailChimp is not as good at it as I feel. So like if you have a lot of products, I would move off of MailChimp. But if you don't really have that many, like if you only have 4, because, you know, maybe you're a coach or something. So you have like, this is how it plays out. You have a book. And then you also have a course. And then you have a coaching package. And maybe you have a couple of different coaching packages. So what you would do is you would create a tag for each of your products. And then you, when somebody goes to the checkout or whatever, you apply that tag to that person that they have product, like they have the book. And then you set your sequences to trigger, well, like, okay, she has the book, but not the course. So now this is going to fire that, like this sequence is going to go off giving you some education stuff about one of your other products. So in this case, what we did was, because again, she's selling like, they're called appliances, but they're not like washer and dryer. They're like straightener, hair straightener, blow dryer, stuff like that. So we created, and you know, she doesn't have a lot of products. Like some stores have hundreds of products in e-commerce. I'd call it like a medium store. We had probably like 20 or 30 products across like 3 major product lines. 4, we had accessories too. So it's not like a billion products, but it's also not like if you're a coach and you only have 4 or 5 main products. So it's still a lot of stuff. But what I did was that for each product, we create a tag for it. And then each product has like a series of emails that are like between 1 and 5 emails only focused on selling that product. So it would, if you bought the straightening brush, but you don't have the hair dryer, which you're definitely in need of, obviously you totally need that. Yeah, short hair for everyone listening doesn't need it. But yeah, so like if you had like the brush but not the hair dryer, then you would start getting emails like how to blow out a pixie cut, how to straighten curly hair with only a hair dryer. So really, like my whole approach is really, I would call like the keystone is this educational perspective. And if you can't educate by sharing something new, then stories or like whatever. But in most cases, you're able to educate people. So I really try to go with that route. And so I built out little sequences for each of the products. And then you're being dynamically tagged as you buy stuff. So that's how we're trying to remonetize initial buyers. Because like it's easier to sell something to somebody who's bought from you already. This is the whole psychology behind those tripwire offers. Like when you join a homie's email list and they're like, hey, you want to buy this book for $1?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
because if you spend a little bit of money with someone, it's easier for them to get you to have, that second purchase,
Yeah.
third, fourth, da 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 da. So
Mhm.
that's was a big focus of what automations we were trying to build out. I say we, like it wasn't just me. I was trying to build out. In this case, I was working on the project only myself with their
Mhm.
VP of sales, and then using their internal
Mhm.
team resources. So like the structure that I work in really depends on the company. But a lot of the time I wind up only having minimal team members. So like there's
Mm.
me, I also have a junior marketer, and then I have a couple of other colleagues that I'll pull in like as needed.
Mhm.
We kind of chatted about this before you guys
Mhm.
like joined us. But in a lot of cases, it's usually just me, and
Mhm.
I'm working with the company's internal resources, which I really enjoy because that means a high profit for me because I don't have
Mm.
to
True.
spend a lot of money on other people.
Mhm.
But yeah, so in this case, we were working with some people that they had internally, but
Mhm.
otherwise, like I designed all the systems. I'm like, we should do this dynamic tagging thing. And I wrote
Mhm.
out all the sequences. And then luckily, thank God, somebody else implemented them for me because that would have taken like
Yeah, I bet.
4 hours of my time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that was a pretty big one.
Wow.
And then what else did we do? VIP sequences.
Mhm.
So you want to basically people who buy a lot from you and frequently, or like actually the most important is high dollar value.
Mhm.
Just tell them thanks, you rock, make them
Mhm.
feel special.
Yeah.
In our case, like you can do fun things, like you can give them swag and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But in our case, all we did was just offer them a discount code.
Mm.
Like, you rock, you're killing it buying a lot of our shit. So here's
And some
25% off.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, here's
Uh,
25% off because you're awesome. And
yeah.
just anything to make people feel exclusive
Mhm.
and like, I'm super cool. Like I'm the VIP type of thing. So we gave discount codes, but you could give swag, you could give
Mhm.
free products as like, if you have digital products, like you could
Yeah.
give a free product or whatever, whatever,
Mm.
whatever. You can let people know, like as part of the welcome sequence, we built in a couple of different messages. Like in this case, the store had like a loyalty points
Mhm.
program thing that like when you buy stuff, you're earning points and blah, blah discounts. So we
Mhm.
like both asked people to sign up and like let them know about how it works as part of the welcome sequence. Or if you have some type of VIP status, like you can
Mhm.
let people know how they can attain that status, or what they can get, like here's the fun
Mhm.
trophies and carrots and stuff that
Yeah.
you'll get
Mhm.
for doing that. So this back end work was a lot
Mhm.
of like what drove the results. And I mean, to
Mhm.
be honest, I'm the type of person that like, I call myself a solution agnostic consultant.
Mhm.
So I'm not like a Facebook specialist or a Pinterest specialist. So
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to go and tell people like, hey, you need to be on Pinterest or you need to
Mhm.
be on Facebook. Like I'm more focused on like what's working for you
For
right
you.
now.
Mhm.
How can we do that better? And
Mhm.
also just like, what are you spending a lot of money on? Cause like in this
Mhm.
case, they were spending a lot of money on Facebook ads.
Mhm.
They were spending, and I mean, they still are, but at this case, they were spending $300,000 per month on Facebook
Wow.
ads, which
Wow.
is why I say that it was not very profitable,
Uh-huh.
because for $6 million, you're basically spending it all out,
Mm.
breaking even, or only making a little bit
Mhm.
more on top. But she also had a lot of employees because she had
Mhm.
like a warehouse. I don't know why they have it in-house instead of using a fulfillment
Yeah.
center, but that's a whole
Mhm.
separate thing, I guess. But so in this case, I'm like, well, you're spending a lot of money on Facebook ads,
Mhm.
um, and you're just driving them to the homepage, and also just the whole website is a hot mess. Um,
Mm.
it's confusing, it's
Mhm.
ugly,
Mhm.
and also it's really aggressive. Like you would
Mm.
get onto these, like if you got on to the actual product page,
Mhm.
it looked super whack.
Mhm.
It was really ugly looking, and it makes you like not trust them. But then right above the buy button, in bright red text. It was like, please allow for like whatever weeks, like ample shipping time for this amazing product, because like, you know, people, it's so popular and like we can't keep up with demand. And like, I'm saying it like that because it was partly in capital letters and part like, so it's like you're asking people to buy and you're yelling at them that like you're yelling at them in red text that you don't really know when they're going to get the product. And I'm like, oh my God, like, why does anybody buy from this website? Because I wouldn't. And it's just like, you know, okay, that stuff needs to not be client facing. It needs to go onto like a terms and shipping policy page. So it's just like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, this website looked whack. Okay. It was really ugly, really strange looking. The one collection picture, for example, and if you're not familiar with e-commerce website, they're usually structured by homepage. You would have a collection page. So like if you're selling clothes, you would have like t-shirts and hats and women's and men and like stuff like that. Or in this case, we had like appliances, which is what they were calling it, client facing, wet line, dry line, accessories. And then the picture for the one of them, it was either the shampoos or the styling stuff, which also, like, you know, you hear wet line. Do you know what that means? No.
Absolutely not.
It means shampoo. And like you hear dry line, like, do you know what that means? No. It means like stuff you use to style your hair, like mousse and hairspray and stuff.
Okay.
So, and appliances, like what the fuck is that? So like what I did was just like but like, so the stuff to style your hair was just like the products, I kid you not, like a bottle of hairspray and the mousse and whatever on a shag carpet bath mat, like just taken really close. Like if you take the picture really, really close, people won't know that it's a bath mat. Spoiler, they knew that it was a bath mat.
Oh no.
So like this really involved like creating this brand from the ground up. Like I, as part of our project, redid all of the product photography with like a professional photographer to not take pictures of stuff on bath mats. And we had like, we made composite images for, you know, new images for, and composite means that we Photoshop them. So we had to get all the products from a bunch of different angles in the correct lighting that we can easily Photoshop them into other environments.
Okay.
So we redid all of the collections, pictures, but all the way down to the styling of the actual photos. Like, cause the vice president of sales was a guy. So they really valued my input as a lady as to like, what exactly should we be designing this, you know, to look like. So I'm like, you know, like we went from this stuff, and I wish I could send you some pictures if you want to put them in like the description or whatever, because you guys can, I documented this whole thing so you can see what it looks like. I'm just trying to be like NPR and like describe it for those of us playing along at home. And I mean, everyone watching on YouTube, I don't have any pictures right in front of me. I would love to show you, but you know, so like we went from putting stuff on a bath mat to like photoshopping the like I picked out a picture of a bathroom that looks like it could be in like a high-end spa or like a high-end hotel, and like photoshopping the bottles onto the counter and stuff like that. Or like one of them, it was just a plain marble shelf and then putting the products like into that environment. Or with the actual hairstyling things, what we did was that I had them Photoshop it, that the background was like a piece of marble and it had a little succulent on it. And then like we fanned out the stuff like a hair dryer and that. So this is what is really trendy. You know, like if you go into Target here in the US, or, you know, maybe like H&M. I mean, H&M doesn't sell decorative things, but like you go into a trendy store like that, what's in the women's section? Marble, rose gold, like, or even just gold lettering on things. Succulents are really hot right now. I don't know why. But so it was like, you know, we got to take this off of your fucking bath mat, and we've got to put it into something that looks like I would actually want to buy this.
Yeah, true.
And then like, so this is getting down to like when we talked about conversion rate optimization earlier, now some of the decisions that I made are about this design aspect, because like we just went over, they were called tools, wet line, dry line, and accessories. So what the fuck, I'm sorry, they were called appliances. So like, what does any of that mean? This is not what women shopping in a store, they're not like, let me go into the wet line aisle. So I changed them, because it's like, you know, when I'm looking at design, I'm like, how do people, and not just design, like how it looks, that's part of it. And that's a big part of it. But also design, just like, how should things be organized, and like what order should we be showing people stuff, and what are they thinking when they're trying to make this decision process? So that's what I mean when I say like, women don't go into a shopping aisle and go, let me go to the wet line aisle and like get some shampoo. Like nobody's thinking that. That is you know what that probably is? That's probably the terminology from their manufacturer. Which is not the, you know, that shouldn't be, and I keep going back to this word client facing. Like that can be between you and your manufacturer, but when you're putting it on the front, showing it to people who need to buy it, you need to pretty it up. So what I wound up changing the organization of the collections to being tools, which is your blow dryer and your straightener and stuff like that, wash, style, and then accessories. Everybody knows like what accessories means. But so the reason why I point that out is because it's like down to the small details like this, like how it's organized and how you're telling people like where to go. Cause you know, like, look, if I sent you onto this website and said, find the shampoo, and somehow you find yourself at this collections page and it's like wet line, dry line, accessories, appliances, like, are you going to know what to click? No.
I would have said appliances, but I would have no idea.
And it just like, you know, in this case doesn't mean anything to a consumer. So it's like understanding how people, you know, make these decisions. And so, oh gosh, like, God, we really redid everything. Because like I had to take all of this weird gibberish, you yelling at people, and put it into a shipping policies page, like a terms and conditions page. So when I say that we had to redo this entire brand from the ground up, all I had was a logo and 2 brand colors. And that's about it. That's about all that we kept, and everything else, like all the photography direction and, you know, what types of the style of the brand. And like, we even had to go down and like create a brand voice before I could go through and do some of the product, like redo all the product descriptions and all this email stuff and everything like that. But let's talk now about results, because I think that is what people are really interested in. So the point that I want to make in this case, well, I mean, actually, it's majority of the cases that I work in, it's not really any one of these things that made a huge difference. What happened was that I was able to go into the business and see the whole picture of what is going on, and created a system, a solution that works together to get the results, which in total went from the 500,000 to the $1 million+ months. That revenue increase is already like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, they were spending a lot of money on Facebook ads. They were
Mm-hmm.
not profitable Facebook
Yeah.
ads. And we didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
Everything PPC
Mm-hmm.
stayed the same. We didn't change anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
It just stayed the same. So not only did they have this revenue increase, but they actually had a 22% return on ad spend increase
Wow.
without changing anything about
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
strategy,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the fact that, and they were even still sending them only to the homepage, like,
Really? Wow.
yeah, we didn't even, that's what I mean. Like, I didn't even,
Mm-hmm.
that guy just did his thing, even
Mm-hmm.
though it wasn't very, there was a lot that we could optimize about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just alone, the design changes, the messaging changes, everything on the back end, the whole thing also
Mm-hmm.
got a 22% return on ad spend just from that
Mm-hmm. Wow.
increase.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Mm. Holy crap. There's like so much knowledge that you just, share with us, and just like the whole process. So thank you, first of all, for sharing all of that with us, because I think that's for a lot of viewers and listeners, out there who might be a little bit into sales, or perhaps they have, their own business in some way, or want to get into, copywriting, or want to improve, the conversion rates. I think a lot of what you shared and touched upon can be applied to, what they are doing right now. Now, there are obviously a ton of things that we can go deeper into, but one of the things that I realized is that the relevancy of showing people what is relevant is very important. Would you agree? Because you said, like, with all the tags, like you tagged all the products, and you showed people what would be relevant after buying a certain product. So relevancy is key here.
Yeah, I got just the last, sorry, it was like a
Mm-hmm.
little
Yeah.
I don't know, the internet decided that
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to cooperate with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
But yeah, the relevancy of the messaging and of what you can show people, I agree with you, is like number one factor in
Mm-hmm.
improving your conversions and stuff like that. There's the relevancy of, like you pointed out, with the dynamic tagging and what you're showing
Mm-hmm.
people. But when it comes down to this stuff with the messaging and the copywriting,
Mm-hmm.
I call it sentiment matching. So it's a technique that I've developed where basically all you're trying to do is get as closely as possible alignment from what people are thinking in their
Mm-hmm.
heads to how you're explaining your sales process to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest example of that is going back to what we talked about with the different product collections.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody is walking into the appliances section looking for a hair dryer.
Mm-hmm.
What they think is tools, because even hairdressers and stuff call them styling tools.
Yeah.
Or taking something like wet line and turning that to wash,
Mm-hmm.
taking dry line, changing that to style.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is, you don't want a gap between
Yeah.
what people think they're looking for and what you're telling them that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more detail that I can get into with
Yeah.
that technique.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, overall, like, relevancy, I really agree with you, is
Mm-hmm.
the number one thing that's going to move the needle. And relevancy
Mm-hmm.
in both what you show people as far as
Mm-hmm.
this dynamic tagging thing, and how you explain what it is that you offer.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And that just goes to show that, sometimes the status quo of the woman that had this business, right? She was, doing a lot of revenue, but didn't had a lot of, profit in the end. And even though it sounds, incredible, all right, 6 million, in a year, but now thinking about that, one person can have such a huge impact on the dynamics and on the results of this one company is pretty amazing to me, because those are like minor changes. Like, in the end, it has been like a huge change. It has been like a huge turnover of the business itself. But still, I believe that even though, with the fact that they had like 180,000 people sitting in their email list waiting just there and not being emailed to, is just one way of monetizing that, right? Because like, even if you just mail to those people and set up, all those automation sequences, you could have, gotten them huge results just by doing that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it really is, like it wasn't one individual thing. What is the major skill I think that I have, and that maybe some of you might want to develop, is the ability that I have to go into a business, see everything that's going on, and be able to identify like what are the biggest opportunities that will actually move the needle for you. And that's why I'm able to get the kinds of results that I do. The biggest factor is, being able to identify these opportunities that will really move the needle. And it sounds like easy just explaining this one case study, but really it was all of that stuff. By the time I did this, I've had maybe 5 years of doing marketing, from the subscription box to like the college clubs and all that, and doing the stuff in Switzerland. Like all of that was like 5 years of experience up to this point. So just try new things.
Yeah.
And like it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning about trying new stuff and how important that is. And getting the experience is what will allow you to develop this skill.
All right. Fantastic. Yeah. And I would just, we are definitely, over the hour of talking, but I wanted to let you just talk because you've been sharing so many amazing things. So, to end up this interview, what would be some, tips for people that perhaps want to start out giving or providing marketing services, right? They want to be a freelancer, or perhaps just step into your role as well as a copywriter, because I believe that copywriting is an incredible skill to have, and it's also very, very valuable that a lot of, companies are looking for. So what would be some pieces of advice that you would have for those people?
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge people have with getting started in marketing and stuff like that is just that you don't do it. You spend too much time reading and too much time studying, and really you just have to get experience. Whether like I started charging people right away, like with my whiteboard videos. I had only done like 1 or 2 just to make a sample. And then I took a job for like $400. And I felt comfortable doing that. And I didn't tell them, I'm not like, I'm sorry, like I've never really done this before, so please pay me. Like, no, I just didn't tell them that at all. I'm like, okay, that'll be $400 and it'll be done in 2 weeks. And then I felt okay doing that because I know that I'm prepared to give a full refund. Or I'm prepared to like do it as much as it takes for them to be happy with it. So if they weren't happy with it, then I'll just keep giving revisions until you are. Or if you don't want to do that and you want to offer it for free, whatever, but that is fine. You just have to start getting experience, because reading is not going to teach you how to do this. You have to get involved with other people's businesses, whether you're able to do it for pay right from the beginning or from free stuff. And I think it really only just depends on what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I totally agree with you that, just do it and not just think about it and overanalyze, all of it all the time, and basically become paralyzed just by overthinking all the time. I think, I totally agree that, just doing it and getting into exercise and the practice is what is going to make, it perhaps not perfect, but it will get you on the journey, will get you on the track to improving yourself, and then, figuring out what you want to do, what you're good at, and where do you see yourself in the future as well. All right. So Jamie, there's one thing that I love to ask, to end up the interview always, because I always, am amazed by the answers of that question. And that question is, if you could teach the entire world one single concept, one mindset, or, one exercise that they would understand, what would it be?
Want to think about it first.
Sure.
I would say usually this is called and abundance mindset, but just like believe that there's unlimited opportunities out there, because there are.
Yeah.
So if you, you know, like if you, so what it takes away is pressure. So if you're going on a call and with a prospect and you're trying to make them a client, and if you're thinking to yourself, like, I really need this, I have to land this, that's going to give you a completely different like approach than if you're like, this is the first of many. This person is in business. There's like 500,000 business owners in America, and I'm only talking to one of them. And that's just in one country. You know, in the world, there's millions of people in business. So like that would be my biggest thing, is to just change the idea that like, oh, Robert got a client, so that means there's one less client for me. Like that type of stuff, I think is the biggest mindset shift that people can make. And especially like a lot of people who are trying to get into business, especially like client services, feel really anxious about getting onto prospecting calls and stuff like that. And this mindset shift will help you like make more money and land more calls, because you're taking that pressure off of yourself.
I love that. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, having not you know, like not working or doing stuff out of the scarcity mindset, as you said, of, you know, thinking that, you know, there is not enough business for everybody out there, but actually, you know, going at it from an abundance perspective is definitely a powerful thing to do and a very good mindset to have. So, Jamie, if people want to know more about yourself or learn from you as well, I know you sent me a funnel course which eats, you know, $997 funnel courses for breakfast. How can they find that?
Yeah, so it's at my website, which is I'm like, hopefully the internet will let me say the URL.
I will leave it in the description as well.
Yeah, it'll be in the description. It's at my website. My company's called The Doer Co. It's DOER space CO. So you can Google The Doer Co. and it will come up, but the website itself is the hyphen, which is the one that's like in the middle, not the underscore, which is at the bottom. So it's THE hyphen D like dog, OE like elephant, R CO.com. Oh, here we go. All right. .com /funnel course, I think is what it's at.
All right, perfect. I will definitely make sure to leave it in the description down below so people can find, you know, your free funnel course. It's completely for free, and, you know, it's supposed to be better than $997 funnel courses out there. So if you want to learn about what Jamie does and, you know, get this funnel course, check out the link in the description down below. So, Jamie, is there anything else you would love to add to the end of the interview? Otherwise, we would wrap it up right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered a lot. Just keep trying and try new things, I think, is the biggest lesson from here. And yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, my website is the best place to do it. And also my my email address is it's the same website. It's just Jamie, JAMIE @the-doerco.com. So that's how you could get in touch with me. And I'm always available for questions.
Fantastic. All right. So guys, if you enjoyed this interview, let me know in the comments down below, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever I upload a new video and a new interview as well. Not only video, but also an interview from the Your Best Self podcast. So Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I had an absolutely amazing time listening to you and sharing your experience and your knowledge when it comes to, you know, sales and, you know, everything that you shared, basically, because there's been so much, you know, powerful stuff that you shared. So guys, really watch that and rewatch the interview again and listen to it again, because you can definitely learn a lot from Jamie. And I'm very, very, you know, impressed by, you know, being 24 years old and achieving, you know, such great results. And just, you know, from what you can share, it's absolutely amazing that you can just, you know, talk so much and share so much from your experience. So thank you so much for that. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, best selfers, for listening to this interview. I hope that you find it helpful. And
Fantastic.
Robert, can't wait to see you in the next video.
Exactly. All right. Bye-bye.